I'm here. Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution 1280. Had to run into the other room and get my water. We're going to go on a bit of a nostalgia ride this morning, frankly, because I didn't have any other topics. I sat here for about 2 minutes like, what the hell am I going to talk about today? I don't have any topics. What did I do yesterday? I shipped, I listed, I even did a little sorting. And then I shipped, and then I listed, I did a little sorting. And then I shipped, I listed, I did a little sorting. And then I drank and shipped. And shipped and drank. I had Ernie most of the day yesterday. So when I have Ernie, it actually helps my workflow. As odd as that sounds, having to keep my eyes on a puppy actually gives me focus. Because I know that I have about 1 hour. If he's chill, I have about an hour before he becomes not chill or he has to go potty. So I have to make the most of that hour, and I have to be very efficient in that 1 hour that I have. And then the next hour, I might be playing and walking and playing, trying to calm him down so we can get another hour. And also, as I'm rearranging, organizing, I guess more of an organization in the shipping room, there's just too much shit that captures a puppy's attention. And a loose card on the floor. Oh, I'm gonna go eat that card. So, and I spend most of my time like my head on a swivel, making sure he's not doing something he's not supposed to, which is most of the time. I bring in plenty of toys. He doesn't want the toys. He wants the baseball card on the floor. So, I have, if I have Ernie, I have to avoid that. Or I put him in his crate, which I don't like to do, especially if he's got like energy. I want him to get the energy out, and then when he's chill, okay, then I can put him in the crate. But if he's chill, I can get shit done. So yesterday I spent most of the day in this room because it has doors and it doesn't have shit on the floor. So the only thing he gets into is his toys, and every once in a while a cord on the floor. Like, hey, don't chew that cord. You'll end up like the cat on Christmas Vacation. So I had Ernie most of the day. My wife had a bunch of appointments come up. So last night it's like, okay, ideally I wanted to get some beers. Texted my buddy and he's like, nah, I gotta go out with friends. He's like, but I'm trying to get out of it because it's also pinball league night. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna drink. What's the George Thorogood song? I drink alone, yeah, all by myself. So that's what I did last night. And I came downstairs. I had, you know what I had for dinner last night? I made my own poke bowl. Little rice, avocado, fresh cucumber from the garden, fresh garden tomato, and a little cream cheese. What else did I think that was it. Very good. So that was my dinner last night. That and some Blue Moon. And came down here and I'm like, I'm going to go outside. It's a nice night. It's been unseasonably warm here, which I think most of the Midwest is seeing unseasonably warm temperatures. But it's been, the funny thing is, it's like chilly in the morning and it's cool at night. Although this morning, Ernie woke up early this morning. He woke up at like 4:30, 4:45. So we went potty early. And it was actually like warm. Like the last several days, it's been chilly in the morning. So I think we may be close to a record high temperature today, yet I'm wearing jeans and a freaking sweatshirt, but I'll probably have to change. We'll see. But anyway, last night, I'm like, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to sit on the patio And you can tell it's getting dark early. It was 7:30, and it's like it was dusk, the darkening, and but very nice. And you can smell the crisp fall air. I think my favorite outside smell besides rain, because we all agree that rain is the best smell, right? Outside smell. But I love the smell of a crisp fall evening. It's nostalgic. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go back 20 years today to 2004. But I think it takes me back even further than that. It takes me back to like the early 90s. And what it reminds me of is after a high school football game. I grew up, like 3 blocks from the school in the football field. So it's a very short walk. But the funny thing is when we're like 10 years old, 3 blocks is eternity. It's like, oh my God, I have to walk 3 blocks. And now it's like, oh, like I'm here. Now what? That was a short walk. It's funny how our worlds, I'll never forget. And I still have this feeling from 30 plus years ago, maybe 35 years ago. Because there's something unique about growing up in a small town, because it's like your small town is your own little world. And you can get on your bike and ride all over. And back then in the 80s and in early 90s, you could be out riding your bike all over town as an 8-year-old until the street lights came on. That was a thing. I don't think that's a thing anymore. But I remember I still have this like memory from probably when I probably wasn't even 8 years old. I might have been like 7. I don't know. I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't learn how to ride a bike until like age 6 or 7. So it was probably around I bet it was age 7, 1989. That sounds right. Because I remember riding all over trading baseball cards in 1989. So we'll say I was 7 years old. So the first time I rode my bike to my friend Brandon's house, who I talk about often, Larry Johnson collector, Barry Sanders back in the day. And I remember riding my bike to his house for like the first time. And I was like, I've never been over here before. And then as you get older, it's like, I grew up in a town of 800-900 people, very small. But when you're 7 years old, it's like the entire world. It's, humongous. And then as you get older, it's like, oh, this is, it's like, Madison, Wisconsin, when I, was younger, like this is just a gigantic, huge city. And now it's like, okay, I drove across town in 25 minutes. Boy, it's not as big as I thought. So it's funny how things, it's not. And then you go to a huge city, New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, and then you go to a smaller city that was once a huge city in your eyes, and it's like, oh, well, this isn't that big after all. So anyway, that's what a crisp fall afternoon evening brings me back. The smells of my childhood. So I sat and I drank a beer and just smelled the air, smelled that fall crispness. And then I went back to some more shipping. So I did a lot. I got a lot of shipping done. I was a little like defeated yesterday. Check out my eBay store. Make me feel less defeated. 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more. Buy it now. Items at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. Why was I feeling defeated? I had a great night of auctions on Tuesday night. By the way, more Tuesday auctions are live right now. We'll do a live stream next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. Get those bids in, 99centcards.com. Link in the description. Why was I feeling defeated, though? Had a great night of auctions Tuesday night, but my sales yesterday during the day were not coming in. And I think, honestly, I do think there was some wacky shit going on with eBay yesterday. There was even an article. Oh shit. Let me find it. There was some eBay. Oh, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I don't know if I liked it or not. People. If I type in eBay and people, is the lady going to come up? Liz Morton, value added resource. So yesterday, this is a great Twitter value added RS. Great resource on eBay issues on Twitter. Also a website. I think it's valueaddedresource.net. Here, let's just share the screen, and that way I don't have to speak it out. You can see it out. So here's the page. Value added resource at value added RS. Independent investigative journalist covering eBay, Amazon, Etsy, and Mercari. So, okay, and here's something that I noticed this happening to me yesterday. The Sequel Vintage reached out to ask eBay, don't know what's happening with the advertising card on Seller Hub, but each time I refresh it, it produces different results. Not sure how that's possible. That happened to me all day yesterday. That was the first thing I noticed. I noticed that yesterday morning, and then I saw eBay tech issue. Liz Morton. eBay technical issue. Sellers report Seller Hub is down with technical issues causing listing errors and missing drafts. So, and then there was Ask eBay on Twitter was saying, no, we haven't been seeing outages or anything like that. And it's like, well, there's a whole bunch of people that are saying it's happening. So I think maybe my lack of sales during the day was driven by issues, technical issues on eBay. But I mean, I still had, Jesus Christ, I look at my numbers and it's like, so I was feeling defeated yesterday. I'm laughing because I'm looking at my sales numbers and I should be laughing out of pure joy. But I had a huge influx of sales late last night. So during the day, I didn't have many sales, but then I had a boom. So it ended up I was 4x over my target sales number. So I shouldn't feel defeated. But I was most of the day because I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted during the day. And then that's the thing about sales is you never know when somebody's going to come in and buy 100 items or a big item or both. And all of a sudden it turns a shitty sales day into an amazing sales day. And I think that's what keeps us as business owners, salespeople, side hustlers. That's what keeps us going. That's what keeps that fire lit under us. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go list more because I was feeling defeated yesterday. And I was in this room with the puppy, with Ernie. And I'm like, if I list more, and this is the conundrum, if I list more and I don't sell more, like I'm listing and I'm listing and I'm listing and I'm not selling and I'm listing pretty liquid stuff. It's just not moving. And I'm over 58,000 listings and I'm bumping up against that 60,000. And now it's like, do I start now just delisting some stuff? Do I expand my eBay store? Do I look at a second platform? Like I'm like right face to face with that decision. So things work out, made a lot of sales yesterday, but I was feeling defeated. And I think that's normal. And I think that that's something that we just have to take in stride. And, you wake up the next morning and I had like 50 some notifications at 4:30 when Ernie woke up to go potty. And it's like, oh, I sold a big item here. This guy came in and bought a whole bunch of, $10 cards and okay. Now we're cooking with Crisco. So yeah. And then today may suck and I may not see the sales. I probably won't see the sales that I saw yesterday. Yet yesterday I was feeling defeated most of the day until I woke up this morning. So, but I am at that crossroads, and I am looking at a second platform. The main focus will continue to be eBay, but I am looking at a secondary platform for the other stuff. And I've got a lot of other liquid. I've got thousands and thousands, millions of cards, literally millions of cards. Uh, Obviously, not all are listable in my eyes. Every card is listable. Absolutely, every card is listable. But am I going to spend time listing a whole bunch of 88 tops? No. But they are listable. I did just sell 88 tops Bo Jackson, so some of them do sell. So I am getting to that crossroads, and I'm jumping on a call tomorrow to look at to do a deeper dive into collects. So I'm jumping on a call tomorrow morning with Ted and Alex about the collects platform. I actually did do. I went into the settings yesterday, and because I had a collects account, I just wasn't using it. So I changed my username, obviously, to 1 Million Cubs, put my logo on there. I did a test. I had to set it up in Card Dealer Pro because I didn't have it connected to my collects account yet. So I went into Card Dealer Pro and did that. And I did notice on my listings, I need to adjust like my shipping settings and all that stuff. Because I think right now it says free shipping. I listed, I think, 15 just random Fleer greats of the game on collects. Basically, I just wanted to see what it looks like. And then, I'm gassy. I'll play around with it a little more after I have a Zoom with Ted and Alex tomorrow. So I'm looking into that. I was watching, and yesterday I talked about how I do not recommend opening a second eBay store. And I want to walk that back a bit. I was watching the Dollar Box Live with Adam and Charlie. They do a live show every Wednesday night. Really enjoy watching the show. I watched most of it live last night. Usually I don't stay up that late, but I was shipping. So I was watching the show live. So Adam brought up, and I think Adam's opening or has already opened a second eBay store. And it got me thinking, I don't recommend it. But I don't recommend opening a second eBay store because it doesn't fit my business. I don't want 2 eBay stores. But I think it could be valuable to other sellers. I would not recommend putting the same type of stuff in a second eBay store, although I guess you could. But I'm also looking at this through my lens, from my business lens, and I'm not going to do it. But that doesn't mean it's not, and why I don't want to do it is because I've built a brand and I don't want to chop it up. And I want my transactions, I want everything to be under one roof per se on the eBay platform. Now, I'm going to be branching out and probably doing a second platform. But in terms of eBay, I want to keep it under one roof. And, I want all the feedback to go to one account. I want all the transactions. I want all my reports. Boom, eBay, do that. And I know it's not much of an extra step to print those out from a second account. I understand that. But I like having everything under one brand. Yes, I know you can do 1 Million Cubs store part 2 or the Junk Wax store or blah, blah, blah. And that can work. That can work for some people. The way I set my business up, it's just not feasible for me. The discounts, it's part of the brand. Buy 7 or more, get 25% off. Well, I want to buy I want to buy 5 junk wax cards, but I also want to buy 2 Bowman modern cards from your modern store or your higher end store. And this is your low end store. I want to buy a mix. And then you're clicking around and you've got 2 links. I want to keep it all. You go to my store. It's my store. You don't have to go. You don't have to walk down the street to go to another store. It's a one-stop shop. So that's why I don't recommend a second eBay store. But some people are okay with that. And for me, it would be more feasible for me to spend the extra money to expand to an anchor store than it would be to get a second primary premier, whatever the hell store it is. I'd rather spend an extra $240 to only get 40,000 listings than spend only $60 and get another 60,000 listings. Just because the branding and the one-stop shop is more important to me than the savings, the monetary savings. So I find more value in having one store. So I shouldn't be a hard, I don't recommend it, don't do it, because it might be right for you. It might be okay for you, but it's not for me, and that's why I'm not going to do it. So that's what I had on that. Let's go into the chat, and then we're going to take a trip down memory lane today. Mr. Archer's in the house. Good morning. Zach and Porter, working in radio. What were you doing 20 years ago? And that's exactly what I was doing 20 years ago. 2004, I wasn't collecting baseball cards. I was not in 2004, I was not in the hobby. I was briefly in 2003 when I first moved. It seems like baseball cards are like my security blanket. When I first moved to Macomb, moved out of the house, moved out of my parents' house, moved to Macomb, and had my own apartment, I collected baseball cards again. It's like I need that security blanket. I moved to Madison from Macomb. New apartment, new everything. Didn't know anybody. I went back to my security blanket, started collecting cards again. Although I had started kind of back up in 2012, but then by 2014, it's like, hey, I'm back. I'm all in, baby. My security blanket of collecting cards. Working in radio. I didn't really in 2004. I'm trying to think what was my hobby in 2004. I think it was just going out and getting drunk every night. Living the radio lifestyle. I don't think I didn't collect baseball. I don't think I collected anything back then in 2004. Wild times. George is here. What's happening, George? Kevin Hawthorne's checking in from Lakeland, Florida. What's up? Tampa home investors. I think probably another Floridian. What's going on? Good morning. Steve's in the house out in Arizona. What's up? George says, I was building houses 20 years ago in 2004. I can assure you I was not building any houses. Todd's here. What's up? Good morning. 20 years ago, the Red Sox hadn't beaten the curse yet, but man, October 2004 was amazing. The Cubs still hadn't broke the curse, and they'd still have another, 12 years? Yeah, 12 years to go before that curse was broken. But they did have some good baseball teams in 03, 04. Of course, we had a big disappointment in 2003. And then probably more so of a disappointment in 2004 because we thought, okay, this is going to be an even better season than last year. We're going to get there, and then fell on our faces. Philly Joe, good morning. Mr. Archer says, 20 years ago, I was just starting my teaching career. Yeah, isn't that like 20 years ago? Then I said it in the description where 20 years ago, doesn't it feel for guys of our age, like women of our age? I don't think we have any women listeners. But guys of our age, 20 years ago should be like the 90s or the 80s, not 2004. 2004 was 20 years ago. Like I was out of college in 2004. Brian says, good morning. Stopped at the LCS yesterday. Owner and I discussed corn sweat. He had just learned about it and was floored. And I don't understand. Like it just seems, and I was not a good student in high school. It seems like something that you would learn. And it just makes sense. I mean, corn emits water. Plants emit water. And when you live in the Midwest with frickin' corn everywhere, you would think, okay, it emits, when this corn gets fully mature and there's just fields and fields and field for miles and tens and hundreds of miles of all this corn emitting perspiration, isn't that going to do something to the air, to the wet, to the climate, to the weather, to the whatever? Corn sweat just makes sense. Zach and Porter says, Porter and I had KFC last night. When mom has book club, we go to places for dinner that she would never go. And Porter has seen copious ads during sporting events. Arby's was last time. I love it. I love it. That's how I roll. If my wife is out to dinner or out of town or whatever, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go have fried chicken is right, because my wife doesn't eat any fast food really. Culver's is her only fast food choice. So it's like, I'm gonna get fried chicken or wings. Went to Wingstop one time. That's exactly how I roll. Mark's in the house. Good morning. The moment of truth has arrived for my Mets. 20 years ago, I was chasing preschoolers around the house. Oh, my goodness. Philly Joe says, 20 years ago, I was trying to figure out what I was going to be doing the next 20 years. I think a lot of us were probably in that position. I certainly was. I wasn't really thinking about it, though. 20 years ago, I was 22 years old, fresh out of college, working full time on morning radio, not knowing what I thought that was going to be what I was going to do the rest of my life. In fact, in 2004, I thought, well, I'm going to work in Macomb for a year, and then I'm going to go to the next, and I'm just going to hop from market to market. And eventually I want to get to Chicago radio. And, that didn't happen. I ended up in Macomb for how many years? 12 years. And 8 or 9 of those was in radio, and then I worked at the university, and then I worked in transportation. And now in life has come full circle. Now I'm playing with baseball cards in the basement, like I was doing 40 years ago or 35 years ago. Johnny Im's in the house. Good morning. 20 years ago, one full-time job running a side plumbing business and selling cards online. 4-year-old girl, 8-month-old boy. Now she is married with her own newborn. He's a house painter and boxer. Wow. See, life comes at you fast, doesn't it? Like 20 years ago seems like, oh yeah, 2004, working the radio. Yeah. And then boom, in a flash. That's a lifetime. You've seen a kid grow up, 2 kids grow up, get married and start a family of their own in 20 years. It's amazing. Zach and Porter says 20 years ago, Kerry versus Bush. And we were told the outcome would be detrimental to us. The U.S. would end up 20 years later. Same things. Politicians living on fear in election year is nostalgic, right? Well, if this party wins, you better move to Canada. Oh, if this party wins, we're doomed. We're doomed. We've been doomed since 1776. But we make it out all right. George says, back in the day when KFC did honey barbecue boneless wings, it was great. I haven't been to KFC in a long time. And the reason is because if I want my fried chicken fix, I do Popeyes. Ooh, I love Popeyes. Don't get me started on food, on fast food, because now I'm going to want to go to Popeyes for lunch today. I got to keep it real today. I drank beer last night, so I gotta be healthy today. Andy Max in the house 20 years ago. In the year 2000. He finishes. I was in my second year of teaching, I think. You were just a rookie. You were a super sophomore. David Pyers in the house. What's going on? Good morning. Mark Marinello says, you're getting old when your kids can buy you a drink in a restaurant. Oh, yeah, there you go. I see, and now it's beyond. But I remember, going back to Anawan Fun Days, and there's kids in the bar, which I think it's a little more strict now. When I was 18, 19, I spent some fun days in the bar, with adult beverages, when I wasn't supposed to be in there drinking. But it's more strict now. You can't get away with that as much. But anyway, like a few years ago, and probably 10 years ago, I guess. What's 21? 21, 97, 2007, 2000. Yeah, probably 5-6 years ago. I remember seeing kids in the bar for the first time because they just turned 21. And it's like, man, I remember when they were like not even born. I remember when their mom was pregnant with them coming into the grocery store when I was in high school working at the grocery store. Like, wow, I remember you being a big old belly bump, and now you're drinking in the bar. And now it's like kids are at the bar and I'm like, who's that? And they're like, oh, that's somebody I went to high school's kid. It's like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? I went to high school with kids that are with parents of kids that are now of drinking age. Where we at? Zach says, I get all of my information from LRS. Don't need another source for information. Thanks, though. Where has Low Roller Scratcher been? Playing skill games, I bet. JW says, good morning. Yes, eBay was horrible all day long on the mobile app. Not one sale until after midnight. Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone. I had sales throughout the day, but it was like far less than usual. It was defeating. It was defeating, man. And you plow through and then all of a sudden the floodgates open. It's like, I look at my numbers this morning and have to laugh like, oh, wow. Those numbers went up quite a bit. Zach and Porter says, I bought a 1985 Topps card from Bo yesterday. eBay was treating me just fine. And I thank you for that. And I even got it shipped same day. How about that? Kyle's in the house. Good morning. Cooter says, 20 years ago, I had 2 small girls and was in the middle of selling the company I worked for. Sucked to know all the people I worked with were going to lose their jobs once the buyer consolidated it. Yeah, that does suck. I went through that. I went through 2 radio station sales. The first one was really a gut punch because it was the first radio station I ever worked for. But it was what it was, for me, I had already basically taken a new job when I was going to move to Macomb to go to school at Western. And the radio station I worked at was in Galva, Illinois. And so Galva was right on the way from Macomb to Anawan. So I drive right through Galva on my way to and from Macomb and home to home. And so it was like, I was excited, like I'm moving to Macomb, but I'll still stop in and I'll stop in on my way home, on my way back or whatever. And that never got to happen because, right before I had planned on making the move, radio station sold to a group and they're like, I'm sorry, but you have to hand over your keys and the new company will be, you can apply to the new company. And I don't think it was a very small radio station that I worked for. There was, let's see, how many full-timers did we have? One, me and B and Sabrina and Luann. And that might have been it. Did we have a sales guy? Sabrina was sales. There might have been I can't remember. we had some part-timers. Lindsay was in high school. And then we had some other like random, but like we had like 4 or 5 full-timers. That's it. And none of them applied to the new radio group because we were all like pissed off that why is this happening? I was upset because it's like I'm gonna come back and see you guys on my way back from college, and that never got to transpire. And then the second, so that was upsetting, and then the second sale was just annoying because now I'm not going to be working. I had again, fortunately the second radio sale I went through was we had a small corporation. We had it. I think when I was hired on, we had 19 radio stations. By the time we sold, we were at like 15 or 16, and then went down further. So this would have been what year? 2000. Oh, this was 2000. Was this 2008? This was like pre-housing crash. So 2008, and we had the option to, if we wanted to stay in Macomb, we had the option to stay and again reapply with the new with the company. They were an existing company in town that swallowed up the radio group. And then we had other markets, and our company was like, you can transfer to any market that you want within the company. And so I chose to go with pretty much everybody went to the next nearest market, which was only 40 minutes away. But it sucked driving 40 minutes to work every day when I used to drive 3 or 4, 5, 6 blocks. I could go home for lunch. That's not an option now. So that sucked. And I had the ownership group wanted me to come over, and I like didn't even take them up on a lunch offer. It's like, no, I've made my decision. I'm good. Where are we at? JW says, crazy. I had the missing draft problem off and on and kept glitching out on me in the middle of listing. So I didn't have any listing glitches yesterday. I had one issue, and Zach mentions, I think later we'll get to it eventually. He mentions a starting lineup card. I did list some starting lineup cards. Where in the hell did they go? Oh, I filed them away already. But I did list, and I thought that I thought it was just an error. And the errors that came up were I don't think I have my spreadsheet up anymore, but the errors that came up didn't make sense. But then I did upload a second batch, and they were okay. So and I listed some starting lineup cards, and what was the other batch? It was half starting lineup and then half something else. Oh, was it the SSPC? Might have been SSPC, 75, 76 SSPC. And so I don't know if that was glitch or if it was, it might have been, although I thought it might have been the set name was too long for the starting lineup cards, but some of them did get listed. So I've got to go through and look to see which ones failed and get those, relisted or listed initially. Orlando's here. Good morning. Zach says, forget sales. Did your impressions exceed your wildest dreams? Now, this actually, he says this in jest, but this is actually, I do want to see what my impressions looked like yesterday. So let's, past 30 days, custom. So let's look at what was the 18th. So let's look at the 17th. On impressions, 9/17. All right. So my impressions on Tuesday, and shit, that's probably, I had Tuesday auction, so that's probably not fair. 814,000 impressions on Tuesday. So let's do, because I bet that's probably about 100,000 impressions more than what they were on Monday. Let's look at Monday's impressions. The 16th, 688,464. Okay, so that's more 700,000. So let's look at 9/18. So yesterday were my impressions down. So 688,000 on Monday. Yesterday, 766,000. Okay, so my impressions were about average, a little above average. My quantity sold was more than Tuesday with all the auctions. So, but I think a lot of that it really bursted open late night last night, like 9-10 o'clock. All of a sudden, the floodgates opened. Hammer 44, what's going on? Good morning. Orlando says, put more cards for auction, remove from buy it nows. And that is part of the strategy that I'm doing now. I think I'm going to do some more themed auctions where Tuesday night we'll do the auctions and sometimes they'll have a theme. This week they don't really have a theme. The Sunday night auctions that are ending this weekend, those are all football. Within probably the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do a themed Wisconsin sports auction. With the Goodwill pallets, I get a ton of Packers, Brewers, Badgers stuff, tickets, schedules, posters, programs, magazines, just cards, of course. So I think I'm going to leverage the Madison Card Show page and in all of the followers that the Madison Card Show page has on Facebook, leverage that as a promotion point for a special Wisconsin-based eBay auction. So that is something that I want to do here in the next couple of weeks, especially before the Badgers get really bad at football. People are still like, oh, I want Badger stuff. Terry wants to know, did you get any Topps update? I did not. I actually talked myself out of it on Hobby Evolution, whatever day it went on pre-sale, because I even thought about getting a case. And then it's like, I have an overwhelming amount of inventory. I don't need any more. So I passed on Topps update just because I've got enough. And I always have plenty of inventory to list. That's never been an issue. But what is sometimes an issue hasn't been really the last few months. I've been able to find some good collections and purchases, but good liquid inventory sometimes. And so even with Topps update or new products, even though some of it is not, start like high end, it's a lot of commons, but it's super liquid, and Topps update is a great buy. If you got in, it's a great rip and flip, get it, rip it as soon as it hits your doorstep, sort it, flip it, you'll make money. But I've just got so much stuff. I don't want to devote the time and energy to it right now. Sports card ripping teacher. 20 years ago, I was teaching third grade. How about that? Zach and Porter says you may sell a starting lineup card today. Just saying. I don't think you have to pay taxes on a second eBay store. Could be a game changer. That sounds like low roller scratcher advice. That dude from Duryea says, I saw that conversation about a second store last night. Some good points were made. I enjoy listening to everyone's perspective on selling. Absolutely. And because everybody runs, it's not like, and I want to be careful when I offer my opinions, because my opinions may not work for the next person. Like, just because I quit my job and sell cards full time doesn't mean it's the right fit for the next person. Just because I run my eBay store one way doesn't mean it's the right way for you. And just because somebody else runs their store their certain way doesn't mean it's right for me. So I agree. It is an interesting perspective. It did open my eyes a little, hearing Adam talk it out. It's like, okay, that does make sense for you. It doesn't make sense for me, but I can see why that makes sense for some people, some sellers. I'm going to stick to not doing a second store just because it doesn't work for me. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't be like, no, don't do it. Sometimes I need to be careful with my opinions like that. Peter, good morning. Published my first book and met my future wife 20 years ago. How about that? Offbeat All-Stars in the house. Good morning. Jody's here. What's happening? Jace, there's Charlie. Charlie's in the house, listing and shipping and coffee. Oh, I'm looking forward to that cup of mushroom coffee. Michael is here. What's going on? 20 years ago, I had just sold off my entire collection and was enjoying my time with my bride and our 2 kids. Wasn't for another 5 years before I got into the hobby again. And I have taken so many I've stopped and started the hobby so many times. This is currently the longest I've ever been in the hobby consecutively. And I would say this run started as a little, it's kind of like my hobby since 2012 has taken off like the Mississippi River. Like it starts as just a little, it's nothing. And that's where I was at in 2011. And then in 2012, it starts forming this little tiny stream and it gets wider. And that's where I was at in 2013. And then it got wider in 14, even wider in 15, 16. And then it really by 2016, it started spreading. And by 2018, it was like, and then by 2020, it was, and then 2021. But yeah, so I've been consecutively in the hobby for 12 years now. And, you know, but previously I was in the hobby, you know, my first packs were in 88. I was hardcore in 89, 90, 91, 92. I was in more into basketball cards, but I was still in the hobby. 94. So it was probably as a kid, it was probably 6 years. 94, 95, I was on to watching wrestling and I was collecting wrestling magazines. I jumped back in for about a year in 1998 when I got my driver's license, would go down to the card shop in the Quad Cities. And then I quit because high school and college, doing other things. When I moved to Macomb in 03, I dabbled for a year. And then 20 years ago, 2004, I don't think I was in the hobby. You know, I think I was already like, okay, I got other things now. You know, it's not, Macomb isn't new to me anymore. I've got friends now. And then here and there, I took on a collection in like 06, 07. I was actually building Bowman sets in that time, like 06, 07. I was building Bowman sets. I remember trading an Albert Pujols Upper Deck rookie for a bunch of Bowman commons. Oh, well. Yeah, but I took a lot of stop and starts in the hobby. Brian says 20 years ago, I was a freshman in high school. Let's see a pic. Let's see freshman Brian. John Myers, 20 years ago, I was dreading turning 40. As 50 looms near, I just don't care anymore. I'm with you. I am totally with you. Like 50, it's just like it's coming. Whether we like it or not, it's coming. Hopefully it's coming. I think I was more upset turning 30 than I was 40 and now at 50. Although I'm still away. I'm only 42. So, you know, I still have a lot of my 40s to go. So, and it really wasn't 30 that I dreaded. It was 29. When I turned 29, that was a wake-up call. Like, I'm going to be 30 next year, and I'm still working 90 hours a week, making shit money, working in small market radio. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't do this the rest of my life. And who would have thought back then? It's like, oh, you're going to end up selling baseball cards in your basement. But I took 29 hard. And that's really when I flipped my life upside down. I decided at age 29, I overworked myself. I mean, I had a stretch right after I turned 29, going into the school year, because I did a lot of high school sports. I was running a website, Illinois High School Sports Network. I was broadcasting games as a side hustle, not making money, losing money on that venture because I didn't sell it. We had a the first night of practices, they had Midnight Madness, and like the cross country team in Galesburg had Midnight Madness. So I woke up, did my morning route, was up at 4, 5 a.m. on, say, a Wednesday morning, did my day shift, and then kept working through the day. And I think I might have went out for dinner, but next door at the restaurant next door. And then I was working in the studios that Wednesday night. 11 o'clock, I went over to the high school, covered cross country practice at midnight, went back to the studio, put audio together at 2 a.m., slept for a couple hours, woke up, did it all again the next day. But I think I probably went home at noon or 1 o'clock. But I mean, I basically worked like 21 hours of a 24-hour day. And then I broadcasted that year. I did 153 play-by-play broadcasts in one basketball season. And then I covered high school baseball and softball, broadcast the state finals for the IHSA network. And then I was driving home. So this would have been 2011. Yeah, 2011. I'm driving home. I think I was going to cover summer league. If it's a Friday afternoon, I was going to go cover a summer basketball, high school basketball summer league game or something. And I'm driving home, and it's like I'm tired. I'm not going to do this. And the next day, I went down to the courts, basketball courts, and was just shooting around. And that's when it like hit me. It's like, I've got to do something different. I can't do this. Like, I love it. I loved it, but I can't. Like, I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 next year, or I'm going to be 30 in a couple days. Or wait, I'm going to be 29 in a couple days. I'm going to be 30 next year. Like, I can't. Like, I can do this for another 5-10 years, but am I going to be able to do this in 20 years? And that's when it dawned on me. And I'm like, I only had my associate's degree. It's like, if I want to make a career change, I've got to get my degree. Fortunately, I was in a university town and put some thought into it. I had a coworker who was in the sales department. He had gone back to finish his degree, so I was getting some insight from him. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I didn't do it just half-ass taking night classes. I mean, I went, which is okay. I shouldn't say it like that. It's okay to do that. In fact, you could probably say what I did was foolish because I didn't go in with a plan. And I told my boss, like, I went in June and said, hey, I'm going to quit in August and go back to school full time. And now I knew that my boss wouldn't say, nope, you're done. Because in a lot of radio stations, that's what, okay, you're done. But I knew that wasn't going to be the case. I hoped that wasn't going to be the case. And, she's like, yeah, take all the time you need. I was in on the hiring process of my predecessor. I didn't have anything lined up. I owned a house. I had bills to pay. And I'm quitting my job to go back to school full time. Now, things worked out. The sports editor at the newspaper quit, and there was an opening as a sports writer. So I had some money coming in. The play-by-play, the director of the sports network at the university left. So there was an opening there. So I met with the AD and I'm like, hey, I'm going back to school full time. Can I be your play-by-play guy? And he's like, yes. So I got a stipend there. So I was able to cobble some stuff together, and then going through school and met professors and developed those relationships. And one of my professors was a headhunter for the company that I ended up coming to Wisconsin and moved. So everything worked out. That I wouldn't recommend. Just blindly jumping into something. I quit my job a few years ago to sell cards full time, but I put a lot of thought and ran numbers before I made that decision. I didn't just say, I'm going to quit my job and sell baseball cards. There was a lot of thought. There was a lot of building the business on the side for a few years that led to that decision, and crunching numbers and extrapolating numbers and all of that. So cards dust. And that was, how many years ago was that? 2010? That was only like 12 years. It's hard to believe. 2011, 13 years ago. Hard to believe. Cards dusted in the house. I was a single dad raising my daughter in Texas while I ran my own advertising business. Very cool. Zach and Porter says, you were in radio. You didn't have any money to have a hobby. That is very well put. You were exactly right. You were exactly right. I mean, and I didn't have enough money to go out. I had enough money to go out on Thirsty Thursday, dollar pitcher night. Oh, I can't go on. I can't pay $3 for a beer. I work in radio. Orlando says, 25 years ago, I stopped doing card shows and started selling them on eBay. Very nice. It was 25 years ago for me also. Although I didn't do card shows in the 90s. I think I did one as I did card shows out of my house. Nobody showed up, which is okay. Kind of weird if like adults are coming over to an 8-year-old's house to buy baseball cards. But I think I did set up at we had a small community center in our small town, like 10, 12 tables. And I think I set up at one. I don't think I sold anything. But yeah, eBay 1999 when I started selling on eBay. My daughter was 3. It was a challenge, but worth it. Heck yeah. Reality set in when I get mail from AARP. I was finishing up my second year of college 20 years ago. HBG Gaming in the house. What's going on? Carrie's here. 20 years ago, my oldest daughter had just been born. Now she's a senior in college. Doesn't life come at you fast? 20 years. It's like a whole, like, from being born to growing up, graduating high school, and now getting ready to graduate college. Unicorn Cupcake says, 25 years ago, I had a card shop in Fond du Lac. I was still a teenager, so I was not up for going to school, then having to spend all my time at the card shop. So I only lasted a year and a half. But that's still, I mean, as a teenager, that's pretty damn cool. Even a year and a half. The best are when you have classmates who had a kid at 15 and you're my age. The kid is now almost 30 years old. Yeah, I had nobody in my class had kids early. I think the earliest, one of my friends had a kid. I think his is the oldest out of my class. And so his kid just turned 21, I think. So that would be 2003. So we would have been like juniors in college. So, and that would have been, so shit, that's like 20 years old, which now I look back, a kid at 20, God, that's so young. There was a girl that was a senior when I was a freshman at my school, and she had a baby. She was pregnant at 8th grade graduation. I think she was 13 when she had a baby. And so she's 3 years older than me. So she's 45. So yeah, her kid's in her 30s. Jeez. Merle says, feels like 20 years ago, I was watching Hobby Evolution, waiting to find out how to level up my eBay store. We're still waiting to learn how to scale. Still waiting on that episode. Brian's in the house. Sounds like good stuff for a bonfire. HBG Gaming says, have you been having issues with listings not showing up in your store right away? I would list 10 cards. They'll show up right away. Then I go to scan others, list them, but won't show up. So that actually was happening yesterday. like site wide on eBay. Now that does happen to me. I listed it'll happen with Michael Jordan's. It'll happen with Tom Brady's, where it's like a 24-hour period. I don't think my Tom Brady has, because it's like an early Tom Brady. But I do know site wide there were some issues. We talked about it earlier in the show about some of the issues eBay was having yesterday. But other than that, I haven't had any issues that I know of. Now, I'm not really paying close attention to my listings, but I do notice when I like the batches that I've scanned, I do notice that they have been loading, at least most of them. I think. Zach says, playing catch up. Spoiler alert: you sold that starting lineup card. Yes, thank you. You are earning a lot of my business this month. Congrats. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. So 2004 was 20 years ago, and this is what Beckett was. Now, this wasn't exactly 20 years ago. I think this was the February issue. Oh, here's Ricky Weeks for you Brewers fans. Hey, by the way, I've got some Brewer fans in the chat probably. Congratulations. The Brewers won the National League Central yesterday, and that's okay. We knew it wasn't going to be the Cubs. The funny thing is the editor in his write-up, 5 years already. Oh wow, Felix PA. There you go. Here's why you shouldn't overspend on Bowman. Chris Lubanski and Felix PA are highlighted here. It's hard to believe, at least to those of us here who compile this title each and every month, but the Beckett Baseball Collector Rookie Card Rolodex is now in its 5th season. In that time, we've profiled more than 3,000 players and checklisted more than 6,000 rookie cards. And now we're at 25 years. How about that? So the Rookie Card Rolodex, 20 years ago. I remember when the Rookie Card Rolodex debuted in 1999. I think Josh Hamilton was on the cover of that issue. I was blown away, like, oh my God, all these rookie cards, and it's really cool the way they did the Rolodex. Come on, Bo. Like, just really cool. So let's just read off the first page of the Rookie Card Rolodex. So remember this. Just remember these names from 20 years ago when you start buying rookie cards and prospects. And yes, I have a lot in my eBay store. David Ardsma, Casey Abrams, Tyler Adamczyk, Mike Adams, Jeff Allison. I feel like I'm reading off names for graduation. Abe Alvarez, Brian Anderson, Josh Anderson, Greg Aquino, Justin Arneson, Jamie Athis, Luis Adelano, Michael Aubrey, Luis Ayala, Dwayne Bacon, Paul Baycott, Edgardo Baez, Scott Baker, Blake Balcom. Remember that when you're buying rookie cards and prospects. Have you heard of any of those names? I mean, I've David Ardsma, he played for the Cubs. But like, wow. You look at some of these names and it's Brian Bullington. How about the hot list 20 years ago? Number 1 on the hot list. And this is when by this time they had already started doing cards on the hot list and not just names. Singles hot list. Number 1 on the list, 2002 Upper Deck Prospect Premieres, Prince Fielder. Number 2, 2003 Bowman Chrome, Delmon Young. Number 3, the 1986 Topps Traded Barry Bonds. Number 4 has stood the test of time. 2001 Bowman Chrome, Albert Pujols. Which that card is probably worth more than the other 14 cards on this list combined. Number 5 was the 2001 Ultimate Collection, Mark Pryor, autograph. Number 6 was the 87 Fleerberry Bonds. Number 7 was the 1994 SP Alex Rodriguez. Number 8 was the 2002 Bowman Chrome Joe Mauer. Number 9 was the 2003 Bowman Chrome Ricky Weeks. Number 10 was the 86 Fleer Update Barry Bonds. I'm surprised that was lower than the 87 Fleer. Number 11 was Josh Beckett, 1999 Fleer Update. Number 12 was the 2001 Topps Traded Pujols. Number 13 was that card that I traded for a bunch of Bowman Commons, the 2001 Upper Deck Albert Pujols. Number 14 was the 2003 Upper Deck Prospect Premiers Delmon Young. And number 15, 2003 SPX Josh Willingham. 20 years ago, 2004 hot list on Beckett. What were you buying 20 years ago? I was buying dollar beers or dollar pitchers at the Ritz. Let's see. Mikey's in the house. My 1 of 1 ends this morning. Oh, we'll have to check that out before we go. Dan says, I saw Felix PA play here in Korea in 2014. Very nice. I didn't realize he was still playing in 2014. Let's see. Tracy's in the house. Good morning. Royals are blowing it. 4 straight losses. Last 3 all to the Tigers. Barely holding on to a playoff spot. Playoffs? That sucks because I want the Royals to get in. More so than the Tigers. Yeah, we looked at the standings yesterday. So the Brewers won the American or the National League Central. Let's see. Wild card. So right now, your American League division leaders with about 10 games left. The Yankees, Guardians, Astros. Orioles have the number 1 wild card of the American League. Royals hanging on by the Royals still have the second wild card, and they're a game and a half above the Twins. So that's good. Tigers are only a half game behind the Twins for that third wild card spot. Over in the National League, you've got the Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers. Wild card, number 1 spot is the Padres. The Diamondbacks and Mets are tied for the second spot. The Braves are 2 games out. Cubs and Cardinals, 7 games out. So there you go. Unicorn Cupcake says, great Menko stream. I learned a lot from Korean Cardboard. I have not watched that. I'll have to go back and check that out. Orlando says, that's why prospects are tough to predict. Very few panned out. 20 years later, we know hindsight's 2020. Hindsight is 2020. Hey, speaking of prospects, here we go to reading off old prospects, and we're going to go look at a current prospect. George Lombard, 1 of 1. Mikey's got it up at auction. 90 minutes left in this auction. Let's share this. Oh, I could have probably just... Oh, I shared the wrong screen. We want this one. There you go. I think it means you have too many tabs open when there's a drop down that says organize your tabs. Bowman Chrome Ascensions, George Lombard Jr. Superfractor ends in about 90 minutes over in Mikey's store. So check that out if you're interested. Currently at $510. How about that? My prediction, Mikey, I think this is going to end between $700 and $800. I think $727. I think it's going to end at $727. What's your prediction? Does anybody have any predictions? This is up in Mikey's store, Mikey Sports Cards LLC. Current high bid is $510. It ends in 1 hour, 27 minutes. My prediction, $727. Because this is the type of card that's going to get some snipes. This is going to get some snipes in the last few seconds. So yeah, there you go. What else? I think that's all I had. Just wanted to wax poetic about 2004. I did go to archive.org. So I was working in radio, and I was on a morning show. We had a website called morningshowguys.com. Which now looking back 20 years later, it's like, how the hell did we get morningshowguys.com? I wonder if Morning Show Guys, I feel like that's a safe, I can type that in without worrying. Morningshowguys.com. Wow, it's not a website. You would think some morning show would have that. So this was captured in November of 2004, 20 years ago. This was our website. We did in the mornings, we did the Ron Elby All or Nothing Daily Challenge, which was sponsored by Ron Elby Auto Sales. What singer married Demi Moore and Bruce Willis? It was Little Richard. A baby eel is called what? An elver. And Canada is home to 1/3 of Earth's fresh water was the answer. Now that was about my only job on the morning show was to I was the sidekick. And my job was to come up with these trivia questions. So the point of the All or Nothing Daily Challenge was you had to you took calls. It was a very popular segment to our show. And you would win a Larry's pizza if you got all three answers correct. So you would call in when we'd take calls on the air, live on the air, and you go through and I think we had like a set amount of, like, we only went through 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So some days nobody won. So you would go and somebody would get, oh, I know that one, but oh, you didn't get the last one. So you win nothing. So we had set, what else was on? So on today's show, a new record was set within hours of President Bush's election victory speech last Wednesday. Canada's immigration officials say their website received over 115,000 hits from the U.S. We just talked about that. I'm moving to Canada. Usually the site gets about 20,000 hits per day from the U.S. Are some of the liberals thinking about making a dash for the northern border? That's funny. Hollyweird news. Hey, the contract that sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees went up for auction on eBay. See, now today, 20 years later, that is certainly an item you do not put on eBay. But in 2004, we didn't have golden auctions. I don't know if REA was I'm sure they were probably there, but that's something now that's they're going to build an auction around that, a Babe Ruth auction around the contract. Heritage, Golden, REA. Let's see. Cool links. Want to move to Canada with Bush in for the second term? Here's the info you need. Here's some of those demotivational posters. Oh, because of the Cubs. The Cubs disappointed us in 2004. How would you like to share your name with someone famous? Adam Levine shares the same name as Maroon 5's singer and guitarist. He doesn't think it's cool at all. In fact, he's got a website where he posted the misdirected fan phone messages he's received. We did a segment, probably the most popular segment, aired on Thursdays. It was called Cooking with Bo. Yes, I cooked and baked pecan bread, apparently not good. Our news director, Mike, gave it a D. My co-host, Chris, gave it an F++. So he wasn't good enough to get a D-, but he didn't want to just give it an F. That was a fun segment because it was sponsored by, was it sponsored by? I don't think it was yet sponsored by Hy-Vee. Eventually it became sponsored by Hy-Vee. And so I would get like a $25 stipend each week to buy the ingredients for Cooking with Bo. Now, so I would make each week, so I need milk, so I need a recipe that has milk in it. So that was one way as a poor radio dude to buy groceries, was get a show sponsored by a grocery store and then buy groceries with it. Western Illinois Meats was a local meat market. The Old Dairy, which is still in Macomb. Western Illinois Meats went under a long time ago. Old Dairy is still around. Great place in Macomb. Seventh Son Termite and Pest Management. I believe they're still in business. McDonough County Health Department. I assume they're still in business. It's funny that the health department sponsored Cooking with Bo. And Arby's, I don't remember them sponsoring. Arby's sponsored Cooking with Bo. So that was morningshowguys.com. I wonder if you can click on pictures. Is any pictures going to show up? Coming soon. No pictures. So there you go. Cooking with Bo, morningshowguys.com. We've got some guesses on the George Lombard Jr. Super. Red Light 34 is going to say $650. Philly Joe, he's playing against me. I said 727. He's going 728 just in case it goes higher. HBG Gaming, he's going to cut that game. He's going to go 777. Unicorn Cupcake says, bad time to try to sell my Puff Daddy autograph. You know, it might not be. Puff Daddy's in the news for some really disgusting things. And there are collectors that collect people who were arrested and are arrested for really disgusting things. His name is out there. Which let's just see. Let's type in P. Diddy autograph on eBay. Let's check out sold items. Let's share this tab instead. All right. So let's see. P. Diddy. So yesterday in 8x10 sold for 30 plus shipping, $36.79. A couple days ago, we had an 8x10 sell for $58. It does look like the market's gone, well, this one sold for $100. Although, are those authenticated by AEUCOA? Let's try. Can we get it down to certified by JSA? And that way we authenticity. Oh, wait. Shit, that's the eBay authenticity. We don't want that. What are some more filters we can add? Oh, James Spence. Okay. So there's only 3. They're probably all this week. So this one was best offer taken, $100. So there you go. It might be. I mean, I would think now would be the best time to sell it. And I know that sounds bad. But I think now you'll get the, let's ignore like what happened and let's only speak it out from a financial standpoint. I think now would be a better time to sell it than in 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, a year. I think now is the time to do it. The freaky deeks out there that collect weird shit like that. Dan says, did you say that site got 20,000 hits a day? I find that surprising. Yes. What did it say? Let's see. Canada's immigration officials say their website received over 115,000 hits from the U.S. Usually, the site gets about 20,000 hits per day from the U.S. So, I don't know. Orlando says, sell it now or never. And I agree with that. I think now is the time to names in the news, whether it's bad or good, because it's only probably going to go down, although who knows? Maybe something happens. Maybe he dies. And I mean, we all die. So maybe he dies and then it'll go up. So for a brief period of time and then it'll settle. Alrighty, we're an hour 20 in. I think we've waxed enough nostalgia from 20 years ago in 2004. Dan says, oh, I thought it was your site that got those visits. No. We didn't even get 2,000 hits a day on our website. We might have got 200 hits a day. All right, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store. Help me out. 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. And don't forget the auctions. Auctions ending on Sunday night. Football. We've got a Dan Marino rookie card up for auction. We've got a Mike Ditka autograph up for auction. We've got a Bobby Witt Jr. lot. I think there's 35 cards in the lot. That's up for auction ending Sunday night. Check those auctions out. And then, of course, our Tuesday night auctions will go live on Tuesday night starting at 7 p.m. Central. And we'll count down to the final hammer Tuesday night, a mishmash. I've got a whole garbage pail kids, hockey, soccer, baseball, football, basketball on the Tuesday night auction. So check it all out, 99centcards.com. Tomorrow is Friday. We're going to play Name That Player tomorrow morning. Join us then. Have a great Thursday.